I think I've made this statement before, but I don't know, it's just such a complex topic that like I don't think a lot of people take it into consideration until like the very last moment. Like there are a lot of people out there who are like intelligent people, by the way, okay? Who have a little more like nuance and like intelligence, and they approach information on a, more nuanced and subtle level. So anyway, when it comes to that, I think I see a lot of like political commentators get shit on because like they take a more conservative route with their information. How they approach topics, their talking points. You know, Especially like the self-proclaimed accelerationists, okay? And I think that poisons the well a little bit. I don't know if accelerationism or just like the esoteric framework of some of these left-leaning individuals, I don't necessarily think that gets a lot of like room. Like, I don't know how to really explain it, you know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, it's a difficult one. It really is, because it's just all like, a lot of people, they say, what are you doing, when it comes to information and sharing information? And when I start sharing information that I find valuable, that information turns out to be, fear-mongering bullshit. And it's just like, I get that. That's me turning it around and saying like, hey, it is me that's the problem. I don't want to like make this like a pity kind of thing, like you should feel sorry for me. I should do my reading, I should do my research, but I'm a reactionary at the end of the day. And I've like covered this like thing, I don't know if anyone like whatever, but this is like an introspective process for me. This is me like sitting on the information that I'm like whatever. It's just like politics for me is a lot more reactionary and whatever, because I grew up in a very conservative household. It's just all like, it didn't escape me per se, the philosophy and momentum, but the information itself escaped me, because like anyone with like a valid like who wants to take information at a slower pace would realize, even if they were acting like a conservative, they would see like, hey, we shouldn't treat women so terribly. We shouldn't treat minorities and the marginalized so terribly. I don't think we should treat like the queer community so terribly. I don't think trans people are like the demon, whatever. It's just like, I don't think they're like terrible people. I think they're good people who have good hearts, and they just want the best for themselves and the people around them. And not everyone's like a great person, but that's like the human experience, and we don't need to like harp on the validity of the human experience by putting into perspective bad people. If that was the case, then we would be questioning Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, BTK, all of these terrible human beings, Charles Manson, and we would be like saying, are these real men? These aren't real men. They kill people. It's just like, we're not arguing that. Anyway, that's just a little like diversion, in my humble opinion. I've thought about it a lot, but like, anyway, just back to the subject at hand. I think that we really should, kind of take into consideration that some people don't really work out well in political spheres. I like to share information. I like to say things that I find important. I like to, because it's just like, what can you do, really? And it's just all like, when things are getting so terrible, I tend to catastrophize, and I tend to say things that are kind of fucking stupid. I'll be the first to own up to being an idiot, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, my framework is like an archetypes, like the dark esoteric underworld, the paranormal, It's just all like, it's things that you shouldn't have anywhere near politics. And conservatives prove this time and time again. Especially in like the 40s. You know, the German nationalists, the hyper-nationalists, hyper-nationalism in general, Christo-fascism, all of that good stuff. It's just all like, at the end of the day, you know what you're going for. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of like demons and occultists. You know, it's just all like, I don't do the occult stuff. I genuinely find it boring. And I think that it doesn't get as much done as just all like trusting your gut or like going with your intuition. So yeah, I'm pretty fried, guys. I'm pretty fried. And like, the things that inspire me, the frameworks, the philosophies, I'd hate to say this, but they are very conservative. You know, it's just like, I don't like the self-hatred of conservatives. I don't like the blame other people of conservatives. But there's something in there that just like reflects whatever. And it's just like, it's something I'm working on. You know, it's just all like, I think that it's so much more nuanced than people think. You know, you can be like this and that, but you can't like totally leave something. I don't know, there's just so much gray area that you can operate within. And like, I think on stuff all the time. I've thought on things my entire life, and when I hit my 20s, you know, like, shit got different for me, dude. Like, I was like a really naive kid, and I just thought, hey, you know, maybe I don't know anything, and whatever. Now I want to help people. I want to like do this as a philosophy kind of thing. I want to like give people the kind of like philosophical resource to like think on like, hey, you know, whatever. And it's just all like, at the same time, it's just like, there's a lot of residuals that I don't want to like give to people, because like, I don't think that people need to think in a way that like reflects my own thinking, you know? The emanation society, you know, I know that it's like, it doesn't look good. It's heavily inspired by Bataille. Like that whole movement in the 30s prior to, you know, Nazi Germany, and you know, he stopped the writings, he stopped the whatever. It's all about like sacrifice, and like it takes on a like heavy Greek inspiration, like Greek myths. And yeah, sacrifice, you know, it's just like human sacrifice. So it's kind of weird. Man. So like, I don't know, there's just so much stuff going on. There's just so much nuance. I don't know, I'll talk about it soon.